Hello and welcome. My name is Emma. I'm a copywriter and a blogger, and today I'm going to talk to you about what you should do when you don't really want to write at all. We all have those days where we just don't feel motivated, we can't get into anything, we can't find inspiration, everything feels like a chore, the deadlines are looming and you just think, shit, what am I going to do? Like, I don't feel like writing, you're just not in it, you're not in the moment. And it is more common than you probably think. So there are some things that you can do to still be productive on those days and get shit done. There are a couple of tips that I myself do when I'm going through those days, because at the end of it you do feel better when you are productive and you've got to be doing something, right? So here's just a couple of things that I do when I'm having one of those awful, horrible days and I just don't want to write. So the first and easiest thing you can do when you don't feel like writing is to pick up your laptop and just move to a different location. Sometimes it just helps to break you out of that funk of being in the same place. If you work at a desk and you're surrounded by the same people, if you just get up and move, go somewhere else, find a new space, someone with a better energy, maybe more sunshine, different people around you. Sometimes it does help. And the creative juices begin to flow again and you get a bit more into it, and also you're not surrounded by familiarity, so there are less distractions and you can just take yourself off and get a little bit more done. So give that a whirl. Sometimes it's as easy as just picking the laptop up and moving away. You can also do a variation of this and change the format. Rather than typing on your computer, get out a pen and a paper and go somewhere else and write it. Changing the medium sometimes changes your thought process and gets you back into it again, so you could do that as an alternative. Next up, another really easy one is just to take a break. If you're just slogging away at it and not getting anywhere, even if the deadline is imminent and you just think, I can't leave here, I can't take lunch, I can't possibly take 5 minutes away, I've got to get this done, but you're moving at a snail's pace, you could probably still get the same amount of work done. If you go away, refresh yourself, come back and launch back into it, you'll probably be at exactly the same place as you were if you'd slogged your way through it, but you'll be happier mentally, right? It is just as easy as taking yourself around the block. Just go out in the nature, smell some fresh air, just do something. Sometimes when you're walking as well, your mind is working through creative problems or emotional problems or allowing you just to tick over in your brain, and sometimes that helps in itself, just taking breaks. I am really bad for this. If I have a huge project and a big deadline, I will chain myself to the desk and force myself through it, no breaks. And it does me absolutely no favours whatsoever, puts me in a shitty mood, the quality of the work is not good, it feels like a slog, it's not enjoyable, it's just a horrible time. Whereas if I go away and have lunch, go out for an hour's walk, or just put it to bed and go off for the evening and come back the next day, the quality of the work is so much better because I've given myself that space and distance and mental break so that I can recuperate and go back with fresh eyes. And sometimes it's just obvious what needs to be done, or you're just in a better mood and the writing is better because you're in a better mood. So think about just maybe taking a break and seeing how you feel after that. This next one is the absolute best tip for when you are just in a whole day of horrible mood, just cannot get into it and cannot work. Think about, what can I do today? So you're not in the frame of mind to write anything down creatively, nothing's coming creatively. Okay, fair enough. Don't force it, don't push it. Instead, why don't we go through and structure the piece? Put all of the headings in there, maybe put all of the keywords in there. Just make sure that everything that you already know you have, you've blocked it out nicely so that tomorrow, when you're in a better mood, you can come back, the structure is all nicely laid out and you can start to get creative within the skeleton that you have created for yourself the previous day when you weren't quite feeling it. If it's a blog post or an article, say, why don't you go off and do all of your research, make all of your notes, find all of your sources, contact some people, do all of that kind of homework so that tomorrow when you're in a better mood and you are feeling creative, all of the groundwork is done and you can just use what you've done to write the article. Or perhaps, you can go off and create an image for your content instead of working on the content itself. You know, all needs to be done. Go off and do that instead. It's all about finding achievable goals. What can you do today? You might not feel like writing. There is plenty of other stuff that you can get done so that you haven't lost any time and you can just go ahead and crack on when the mood is right. Finally, and similarly to the last point, is if it's really not happening for you on that particular task, switch it up, change tasks. Not everybody has the luxury of a flexible schedule like a freelance copywriter might, but you do have other jobs probably in the pipeline. Think, right, well, could I switch them around? Could I do something different? Could I take myself out of this task that's not working for me and move on to something that maybe is a little bit easier for me to do, just so that I've started writing? Sometimes when I do have a creative block and I can't quite get into the creative writing side, I will go and edit something and proof it instead, so that I'm reading words, I'm engaging that analytical part of my brain, I'm tweaking things, I'm starting to engage my writing brain. And when that job is done, sometimes I'm like, oh yes, okay, like I've got it, I'm ready to go. Or maybe if I've got some small ads to write, for example, like press ads or PPC ads or something little and technical that I can work on and just tinker with until I've got it perfect. I'm like, oh okay, right, now that I've really exercised my writing muscle, I can launch off into something much bigger. Sometimes it is just about changing the job and trying out a different part of your brain before going back and trying to write something. So there you have it. That is what I like to do when I really don't feel like writing. If you have any of your own tips for those days where the inspiration just isn't coming, leave a comment below and share it with everybody else. I mean, I'm sure you've got loads more ideas other than the ones that I've given you. If you've tried any of the ones that I've given, share up below as well and let other people know how it worked for you. I know they really work for me, because let's face it, sometimes it's just not happening. It's just one of those days, you know? If you have anything else that you would like to ask me, you can again comment below, or you can find me on Twitter at @EJCownley and I will happily confab with you. Until then, have a good week and I'll see you back here same time, same place next week. Take care.